They promised you financial freedom, a new monetary system free from government control, bank manipulation, and central authority. Bitcoin was supposed to be the people's money, decentralized, unstoppable, and revolutionary. For the first time in history, ordinary citizens could hold money that no government could print, no bank could freeze, and no institution could control. Millions bought the dream. Cryptocurrency would overthrow the old financial order, they said. Banks would become obsolete. Central banks would lose their power. The financial elite would finally face real competition. But 15 years after Bitcoin's creation, something strange has happened. The same institutions that crypto was designed to replace are now buying billions of dollars worth of it. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, has launched Bitcoin ETFs. JP Morgan, once Bitcoin's harshest critic, now offers crypto services to wealthy clients. Even central banks are exploring digital currencies that use blockchain technology. The revolutionary technology that was supposed to destroy the establishment is being absorbed by it. The question isn't whether crypto will replace traditional finance. It's whether traditional finance is using crypto to strengthen its control. But here's what nobody tells you. The greatest financial revolution in history might actually be the greatest financial trap ever designed. And the very technology that promises freedom could become the tool of ultimate surveillance and control. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to the beginning. On January 3rd, 2009, someone using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto mined the first Bitcoin block. Embedded in that block was a message. The Times 3 Jan 2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. The timing wasn't a coincidence. The global financial system was collapsing. Banks that had gambled with our money were being rescued with our money, while ordinary people lost their homes, jobs, and savings. The message was clear. Bitcoin was a direct response to the failures of traditional finance. Satoshi's vision was radical. No central bank could inflate Bitcoin into worthlessness. No government could seize it without your private keys. No bank could freeze your account or charge you fees for moving your own money. It was peer-to-peer electronic cash, a return to the fundamental idea that you should control your own wealth. The early Bitcoin community understood this. They weren't just investing. They were building a parallel financial system. For the first time since the creation of central banking, there was a real alternative. But revolutions rarely unfold as their creators envision. The transformation began slowly, then accelerated dramatically. In 2017, Bitcoin futures launched, allowing Wall Street to trade Bitcoin without actually owning it. In 2020, major corporations began adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. By 2024, Bitcoin ETFs were approved, making it as easy to buy Bitcoin as buying a stock. Each of these steps was celebrated as mainstream adoption. But adoption by whom and for what purpose? Consider what happened to gold. Gold was once the foundation of money, held by individuals as protection. But governments didn't ban gold, they just made it irrelevant. They created paper gold markets that dwarfed physical holdings. The result? Gold prices are set not by people who own the metal, When institutions trade these derivatives, they influence Bitcoin's price without ever touching the real asset. The decentralized currency is being centralized through financial engineering, but it goes deeper than just price manipulation. Look at where Bitcoin actually lives. Most people don't hold their own Bitcoin. They buy it through platforms like Coinbase, which holds their keys and can freeze their accounts. They store it on exchanges that operate just like banks, complete with government reporting. The infrastructure that was supposed to eliminate intermediaries has just created new ones, and these new ones are often more powerful than the old. Then there's the mining industry. Bitcoin's security depends on miners. Originally, anyone could mine Bitcoin with a home computer. Today, it's dominated by massive operations in a handful of countries. A small number of mining pools control the majority of the network. If these pools coordinated, or were forced to by a government, they could manipulate which transactions get processed. The decentralized network has choke points that can be controlled. Even more concerning is custodial Bitcoin. Large institutions don't hold Bitcoin directly. They use custodial services that hold it for them. A few companies now custody billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin for these clients. These custodians operate under traditional financial regulations and can be compelled to freeze or seize funds by government order. Peer-to-peer electronic cash has become institutional electronic cash, subject to the same old controls. But the most ominous development isn't what institutions are doing with crypto. It's what governments are building with its technology. Central Bank Digital Currencies, or CBDCs, represent the ultimate fusion of blockchain tech with state control. China's digital yuan can be programmed with expiration dates and spending restrictions. These aren't cryptocurrencies in the original sense. They're surveillance systems dressed up as innovation. Every purchase monitored, every financial decision subject to government approval. Crypto taught people to accept digital money with no physical form. This creates a winner-take-all dynamic that leads to concentration. Bitcoin's first mover advantage made it dominant. Other cryptocurrencies emerged, but to succeed, they needed the backing of major institutions. The result is a crypto ecosystem that looks remarkably like traditional finance. A few dominant players control the market. Look at decentralized finance or DeFi. DeFi applications often just replicate traditional financial products like lending and borrowing, but with crypto. And who controls these protocols? A small number of large token holders, with the majority of voting power. The decentralized system just recreates the same inequalities it was supposed to eliminate. Perhaps the most concerning part is how crypto has actually enhanced financial surveillance. Every Bitcoin transaction is recorded permanently on a public ledger. While addresses are pseudonymous, they can be traced and linked to real-world identities through exchanges and blockchain analysis companies. Law enforcement now has tools to track crypto transactions more effectively than cash. What was supposed to be anonymous electronic cash has become the most surveilled form of money in history. The immutable nature of the blockchain means once your financial activity is recorded, it can never be erased. So, is cryptocurrency freedom or the ultimate trap? The answer depends on how you use it. For people in countries with collapsing currencies or authoritarian governments, it can provide a genuine refuge. But for most of us, crypto has become just another financial product sold by the same institutions that control everything else. The revolutionary potential remains, but it's being systematically neutralized. The crypto industry has largely abandoned Satoshi's vision of peer-to-peer electronic cash in favor of number go-up speculation. This doesn't mean crypto is doomed, but it does mean the current path leads toward greater centralization, not less. True financial freedom would require a return to the original principles: self-custody of funds, privacy-protecting technologies, and resistance to institutional capture. It would require choosing utility over speculation and decentralization over convenience. Most importantly, it requires recognizing that technology alone doesn't create freedom. Freedom requires constant vigilance. The same institutions that turned gold from people's money into a manipulated commodity are now doing the same thing to Bitcoin. The choice is still available, but the window is closing. Cryptocurrency represents both the greatest opportunity and the greatest threat to financial freedom in our lifetime. History shows us that revolutionary technologies tend to be captured by existing power structures. The internet was supposed to decentralize information, but it created new monopolies more powerful than the old ones. The ultimate irony is that the greatest financial revolution in history might succeed not by destroying the old system, but by giving it new tools to perfect its control. The question isn't whether you'll use cryptocurrency. You probably will. The question is whether you'll use it as a tool of freedom or accept it as a gilded cage. The revolution was real. The question is, who won? Thanks for watching. If this made you think, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world. See you next time.